Hello and welcome to the Anyone Can Play Guitar podcast,
which gives you, the listener, a series of hints and pointers on your journey as a musical artist.
providing you with interviews from those in the music industry, along with our own experiences.
Ben and James shine some light on the many pitfalls and opportunities that being a musician has to offer.
Last week we spoke to singer-songwriter Joy Ike about house concerts, how to put them on, and the things to think about when both playing and hosting these great events. This week we're backstage with Mark Morris of the Bluetones, talking to him about repartee, crowdfunding, and the importance of musicians getting paid.
So similar to the Roddy Womble episode, James, I have a story for you.
Oh good.
Now this is something I did mention in the interview, and
So retell me the story.
I'm going to tell you the brief version of it, but it's important because when I saw the Bluetones, 2000, which was on the back of a cup. You know when you first go to gigs, and every gig's the best gig you've ever been to,
Right.
because it's like it's new and there's people and it's loud and it's sweaty and
Right.
the Bluetones was literally 2 days after I saw Coldplay at the same venue, Newcastle Uni. Coldplay were magnificent, but the Bluetones were like outrageously good. The crowd were really banging into it, and it wasn't a violent crowd obviously, but it was kind of like bouncy, and it was like pogo going on, and it was just like all the tunes were good, and it was the first time where I had ringing ears for days afterwards, and it was the time I went, I would definitely like to do that at some point. And like, it's that whole thing of when you're playing and you can see the crowd doing something as one, and that was the Bluetones' fault.
A defining moment in the life of Ben Steele.
Yes, it was. And like, it was strange because Coldplay went on to be Coldplay, but I still have more memories of the Bluetones gig. But yeah, that was one of the reasons I went, yes, how can we do this? So maybe just a bit of a backstory for the listeners. We are interviewing Mark Morris of the Bluetones today. Well, not today, but what you're going to listen to. But this was the take 2, wasn't it?
Yeah. Friend of the show.
Friend of the show
is how I'd possibly describe Mark.
He gave us a hug at the end of the second gig. He's definitely a friend of the show.
That's true. Yeah. So
had nothing to do with the multiple shots the audience bought him.
not at all.
Yes. So the first time we spoke to Mark, when we listened back to it, there was a lot of background noise.
Well, I think we always knew that was the case. That the first time we met him, the backstage area
was
that
on
we
the
have
stage.
was pretty much almost on the stage, and
Yeah.
all you could really hear was the act who happened to be on at the time, which was just no good. It was just drowning everything out. So,
Yeah.
so by good fortune, he was playing in our neck of the woods, but only a fortnight later.
But also, more than good fortune, was very nice enough to even suggest that we did that, not us going, can we please? He was like, I'm actually back up in Blythe, which isn't too far from us, 2 weeks' time. Come up, see the show again, we'll have a chat.
Yeah, the interesting room that we were in as well, like in a little sort of bedroom.
Well, it was his...
Sitting on a bed with...
Yeah, well, that was quite strange, because going from seeing the Bluetones at Newcastle Uni and being like overawed by it.
Well, we went from backstage to being above the stage.
Yes.
Almost.
But then also, like, when you think, I was like, Bluetones were one of the main supports. Like in the Leeds festivals in the 90s and stuff, like they were high up the bill, and like there I am,
great band,
talking to Mark Morris, and like I was like, this is cool. Okay, so what we'll do is we will listen to our chat with Mark in Blythe, and we'll speak afterwards about some of the interesting points we brought up. Didn't say key facts.
You didn't, or key bits,
or key
which
points.
Is your new favourite.
Yeah, key points, key insights.
I don't think you've ever been key facts.
No.
You went from key points to key bits.
Yeah.
Are you trying to throw key facts into the mix now?
I've been reading a lot of mortgage applications recently, haven't I? So the key facts on there.
Yes, mortgage application is partial to a key fact.
It is.
Right. What was the name of the venue that we were at in Blythe?
Oh, it was... what's the first initial?
You're looking at me as if I know. It was the Tavern in Blythe.
Do not say that like you remembered what it was.
You have no evidence to suggest that I didn't.
That's true.
So, here we go. Mark Morris, the Bluetones, at the Tavern in Blythe. And no semolina.
I know.
To be
Yeah, I know. It's a bit sparse, isn't it?
I nearly brought you some semolina, but I thought
that would have been a bit weird.
That would have been a bit of a strange one, wouldn't it?
Semolina's not my favourite pudding.
Anyone's favourite pudding?
No, it's not. It was always like, what the fuck is
well,
that?
more than it probably needed to be discussed, to be honest.
Well, you know what? It needed to be discussed.
Well,
people needed to know.
It's good to clarify these
we
things.
needed to just get it out.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Confessional style.
That's best too.
Plus, also, it would give me another opportunity to go. Is that bad from The Shining?
No, we'll give you that.
I mean, for anyone listening, then there will be snippets from the other interview we did with yourself. Because bits of it were really good, but then other bits you were saying,
It's just unusable. Too far away from the mic, and someone came in through the door and left the door open or something.
Yes, there was a few visitors. Yeah.
That bit wasn't too bad.
It was the general noise from the coveries that
Sport the whole
well
ambience. Yes.
Ambience.
the gate crashed the acoustic.
So you got fresh questions, so you can get fresh answers.
Well, maybe.
Right.
You try and keep them on his
Now I'm going to
toes,
completely
what's that?
contradict everything I said 2 weeks ago.
Exactly, yeah. Well, one of the things I wanted to say last time, actually, you are one of the people responsible why I started playing music, because back in 2000...
I can't apologise enough.
No, you haven't heard any of my stuff, have you? I think it was the Science and Nature tour, 2000. And we saw you on the Saturday at Newcastle Uni, and the days afterwards my ears were burning. It was so loud, and I went, that's what I want to do. That's what it was, in a good way.
Was it
good.
particularly loud then?
I don't know,
That
it just happened to be, and it was really, really bouncy but not rough, and just a good gig, basically. Yeah. So that was one of my first.
Was that in the big room?
The downstairs at the Newcastle University, the basement.
Oh, that place. Yeah,
Yeah.
gosh, I was thinking of that.
Northumbria.
Yes, with the big high ceiling.
That's been changed now. It's no longer a gig room.
What's it now?
I think it's just a student union
Space.
Right.
Yeah,
space.
Right, okay. I know, we played there several times. I loved doing that gig at the uni because we had access to the sauna when we were there.
We had the university had a sauna.
Newcastle
There's a
tomorrow.
sauna?
There was in the sports department. Yeah.
That makes sense.
So it's like, Newcastle tomorrow.
So what were those
Sauna.
what were those tours like back then compared to now?
Quite similar in many ways in that we were never that sort of raucous a band. We never kind of cut loose and behaved terribly. We would always enjoy each other's company and enjoy the fact that we were out on doing a job that we loved and surrounded by alcohol.
Yeah.
But we never kind of we were never that naughty, and so now it's quite similar really. It's just like socialising with a gig to break up the day.
Yeah, because I saw that you're doing the Shine On ferry to Amsterdam.
Oh yeah, cruise.
Cruise. My apologies to the promoters of Shine On.
Come on, yeah.
Because we're going to his stag do next week in Ghent.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Shine On is at, I want to say, is it?
Minehead this weekend.
Minehead, that's right,
That's right, yeah.
And I thought, that would have been pretty good, but I bet they're just mental, because there'll be people like us 20 years after the fact who've now got a bit of money out away from the kids. It'll be just unbelievable.
It's mainly that.
Yeah?
Yeah. I played last year with the Bluetones and the year before on my own, and it's a republic. Butlins becomes this kind of middle-aged, not quite middle-aged, republic where everyone's away from the kids for 4 nights.
Yeah.
And no one can quite believe their luck. And
all the bands
it's very friendly. Everyone's having the same sense of freedom, I suppose, or away from responsibility for a few nights, and they get back to their old selves, don't they?
Yeah.
You walk in, you go through the gates into the festival, and it's just like a waft, a wall of marijuana just hits you, and it's like everyone everywhere is smoking weed and being friendly and smiling.
Yeah.
It's a really good vibe. It's a really good vibe.
I bet. Do the people stay in like the caravans and the chalets and stuff?
Yes, yeah. You rent a chalet and you get different class of chalet.
Yeah.
You get some that just like a little bed sit. You get some that are little family chalets, and you get some really nice ones where they stick us bands.
So I guess we still want to cover, for a lot of listeners, some of the things that we touched on the last time we spoke to you, just so we can have a proper version to sort of put out there. And we talked about Pledge, which you've used to sort of fund an album.
Yes.
So, why Pledge? What led to going down that route?
You mean the crowdfunding route?
Yeah.
Well, at the time when I did it first of all, I wasn't that keen. It was put to me, and I wasn't that keen.
Why not?
Because I thought it felt risky. I thought I had a lot to lose. I thought that I'd set a target and I wouldn't hit it, and I'd be that would destroy me. It would destroy my confidence. And I'd think, oh, what's the point? I might as well just pack it in or something along those lines.
Right.
But it was because we're going back probably about 5 years, and the music industry was in a particular state of flux then, and no one was getting signed, and the deals that were being offered. Record companies weren't in a position when they could give you a decent budget to make an album, and I wanted to make an album wherein I paid everybody and did it properly.
Yeah.
And because it does make a difference if you can pay people. It makes a difference to the whole vibe of the record. Everyone's contribution is upped an extra 20 or 30% because they feel involved. They don't just feel like
valued.
Exactly, and they just feel like not that you go along to someone's session that you're doing for free and don't give it your all, but there is a different connection. People focus a bit harder and they do their homework. They come in and know what they're doing. If I'm doing something for nothing, I don't feel so obliged to do that. I do turn up and go, right, what do you want? I'm here, what do you want? Okay, what's the track? All right, can I hear it again? Sort of thing.
I guess you're right, though. If there's some kind of payment,
you do your homework. You think, well, I'm going to turn up, I'm going to be on the ball. And, I mean, it's preparation, I guess, is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but the reason I went down that road is because I didn't feel like I was going to get a deal from a record label which would allow me to make a record for the budget I thought it deserved, so I could pay everyone properly, the producer, everyone else, the musicians and whatnot. And that's how I got onto that particular ladder, and it went very well. Reached its target very quickly.
So what were the various things that you thought about in terms of, so you had a target, and I'm making an assumption you based that target on a number of different things.
Just the cost of the production of the record to actually make it, record it, and then to manufacture it, and then to distribute it. So you worked out how many people you'd need to get on board. So you work backwards. So you work with the postal costs and then the production costs as being the last thing that you do. And then you add that up, and well, that's the minimum we need. And that's your target. And then if you go through your target, then you pay everyone a little bit more, and you can make a little bit of money yourself, and you can also make the product itself a little bit better. You can spend a little bit more on the manufacture and things like that.
And was that the taste of Mark Morris?
No, it was Flash of Darkness. The taste of wasn't a Pledge.
Oh, so that's jazz, wasn't it?
Yeah. Because once I'd recorded a Flash of Darkness, I was then able to license it to Acid Jazz.
Okay.
And so I got a proper release into the shops and whatnot, and a video made and that sort of thing, or a couple of videos made. And then with the taste of, I decided I wanted to make a covers record. So I knew that I could do it quickly and relatively cheaply. So we had a tiny budget for that, which would have been 1/10 of the budget for Flash of Darkness. So that was a record where I was asking for favours, or just paying people out of my pocket and just thinking, well, I want to get the record made. And it's a different thing altogether, but it's like, well, that's not sustainable. I can do that as a stopgap between albums.
Right.
And that's what it always was. It was supposed to be like a companion piece in some ways. And then for this record, I was always just going to go down the Pledge route again. And Acid Jazz knew that, because I said I need X amount for a budget. I know you can't give me that, so we'll do the same as before. And no, I've done it. It's in my back pocket, but I'm meeting. I'm meeting with other labels as well to see what's on the table.
Should we cut that out?
No, that's fine.
No,
that's fine. No. I've still got a very good relationship with Acid Jazz, but
they'll know the crack anyway, won't they?
What would you, if anything, would you do differently going down a crowdfunded pledge route the second time? What did you learn from the first time that you think?
Well, the things that you do that do and don't make money. You do things to raise money, and they end up costing as much money to put them on as you've raised.
All right.
So it's just, you know.
What sort of stuff?
I did loads of pop quizzes last time, and I did Glasgow and Birmingham and Newcastle and London and Manchester and Liverpool, and they were a bit hit and miss. In London and Manchester, they were very busy, and everywhere else was just kind of thin, and they barely wiped their faces. So I just cut those out. They did London and Manchester.
Right.
And there was a reaction from people in other cities. Why are you coming here this time? It's like, well, you were there last time. There was no one there.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah.
You know, because it's supposed to be a fundraiser, as it were. So what's the point of just doing something that's going to be time-consuming and all that, things like that? And
I suppose it comes back to what you were saying before about planning. Prepping for all that sort of stuff.
And last time around, I didn't do the private gigs where I turn up at someone's house and play a gig for them. I didn't do that because my ego wouldn't let me do it. I was like, I'm Mark Morris. I don't do gigs in people's fucking kitchens. I'm in the fucking Bluetones, mate. For some reason, I was thinking along those lines, but this time round, it was like, no, just give it a try. So I did 5 of those, and they were great, and I thoroughly enjoyed them, and that raised like 20% of the album, just those 5 nights.
It's interesting because we've got a specific episode where we spoke to someone, Joy Ike in the States.
In America, everyone does it.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Yeah. So we've done a whole episode on house concerts.
It's kind of.
It's very interesting because I've just learned about this. I was listening to something on. It was public broadcast radio. This American Life.
Oh yeah.
Recently.
PM.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, what is it? Whatever it's called.
Yeah.
APR or whatever it is.
Something like that. Yeah. I know exactly which one you mean.
RPM, APR.
They do cereal and stuff like that.
There's
yes,
some letters.
That's right. And they were talking about it, and there was one of their stories. But they do lots of stories and stuff. And one of their stories was about NPR. I beg your pardon. And one of their stories was about some musician who was doing a private house gig, and something happened during the gig, and it was like, as he was talking about it, it was apparent. Oh, everyone does this. Yeah. Everyone does this. In America, they go, if you are, I'll come play for you.
Yeah.
And in a weird way, it's just the way the industry's diversified, because no one's paying for their records anymore. Yeah. We touched on this the other week, didn't we?
Yeah, definitely. I'm
selling tea towels for Pete's sake.
the wonderful tea towels.
Yeah.
So is that something you think you'll do a lot more of then?
Well, it's something I'm prepared to do a lot more of because I've had good experiences so far. Yeah. So yes, I mean, well, I don't know what I'm saying that for. I don't want to be so coy because I'm doing one next month. One of the people that did one of the pledge gigs contacted me and said, "We want to do it again." It's like, yeah, all right, that was good fun.
Yeah.
How much do you think it will catch on in Britain? Because it's a cultural thing as well. I think
these things it will catch on. If it's a success for the audience and the artist, then it will happen. And we've got the technology to do it now. You can just turn up, set up, and do a very good show, and sound great, and hang around and have someone's barbecue.
Well, that's what Joy was saying. She said it's a very social thing where a lot of people bring food. She plays her songs and they pass the hat around. That's how she makes her cash, basically.
That's right. That's what they do. Yeah.
And then she sets her merch at the door. People go,
but you know what? I've had a free night out because everyone brings their own booze, so no one's spending any money on booze.
No. Yeah. Just take a 10.
So they think, you think, what would I spend if I went out tonight? I'd probably spend 40 quid tonight. So
easy. I'm
happy to spend 30 quid just on a bit of merch and something in the hat.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
For example, a tea towel.
And you still save money. I had a good night out.
Yeah,
that's when we play poker with the lads. That's kind of how I see it. Like, even if I lose the money,
that's exactly how I used to look at it as well. I'm going to spend this tonight. If I come home with more, or if I lose that, it's okay. I'm not going to throw it away, but it's like I'd spend that if I went down the pub.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just go around with your own booze and some snacks, and you sit there for 6 hours. Because the game of poker is such a social game, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And you're kind of doing that whole thing of just getting into the language of the game as well, and your own little characters and the tells and the reads and all that sort of stuff. It's such good fun, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
Exactly.
So this sort of ties into one of the other things that we're talking about is that, and I could totally see how you would lend yourself to a house concert well, because you've got that banter that, we were talking about in between songs.
Repartee.
Indeed.
Repartee. I don't know that word, banter.
No,
It makes me think of
Lads,
Sky
lads, lads.
Sports.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm the same.
Repartee.
Right, we'll go with that. So, classic guitarist is tuning guitar. There's dead air in the middle of a set.
Yeah.
And I know from my perspective, when I was the frontman in our band, I was always a bit uncomfortable. No one really wants to hear me,
Have a bit of
talk about anything really. I just want us to get on to the next
good
song.
job of doing
Yeah.
a podcast, isn't it?
Exactly.
No, I know what you
And
mean.
listener, here we are.
But you're very different. It appears certainly when we watch you on stage that it comes quite naturally to you. Do you have particular things that you'll have sort of a playbook of things, or is it just all just natural that sort of?
No, it's both. It's both. You'll have a couple of things that you'll throw out and see how they get, what reaction they get, and it's like you're taking the temperature of the room. If they get a good response, you think, oh, okay, all right, and you relax, and then you feel more comfortable with being spontaneous and plucking things from the air and taking things from the room, because you feel, okay, this is comfortable. Everyone seems quite cool.
Yeah.
And but it's taken years to get to that point of feeling comfortable. I was the same as you. I never felt like people were here to hear what I've got to say. They're just here to hear the songs. So, he's tuning his guitar. Okay, I'll have a drink of water and
all the awkward
go
sort of motions. At
say
the front.
something quietly to the bass player, and then he's ready. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
But over the years, I guess it just became a thing of it's nerves as well, as much as anything else. It's if you're talking, you're not thinking about how nervous you are. You're trying to think about not just getting to the end of the sentence.
Is it going to be funny? Is it?
Yeah. But I also got to a point now where I don't really care at some nights, where you can be sort of deliberately a little bit, not belligerent, but distant. And, when it's not going well, then I can amuse myself. And then I'll get off. I'll do my thing, I'll look at my watch and go, that's the bare minimum, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen that often, but... And they're not enjoyable nights, ever. And you never feel good after the gig, even if you've... But it grew from nerves, and over the years you give yourself just a bit of a few more arrows in your quiver.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like you said, you often start with the meat draw sort of.
You try something that you've tried before, and
then you build on from.
Yeah, I think they got that.
Yeah.
Now, is it the same with like when you do tour with the Bluetones, and obviously you've got the band behind you and it's a lot louder? Do you have as much repertoire with the
Repartee
with the
interaction?
Is it harder with like that?
No, it's easier.
Right.
Well, it's just as easy. It's not harder anyway.
It's just different.
It's just different. Yeah, it's a difference. And I've got more to work with when I'm with the band as well, because there's an interaction between us four, and I can talk about other things. These things that are on stage with me. And
that's interesting. I could poke fun at him, for example. If I was struggling for something as a frontman, whereas I guess if you're there by yourself, it is different.
It's like a stand-up almost, because you are just there in the spotlight.
I think the drummer got it a lot, didn't he? Rob got it a lot in our band.
Oh, he brought that on himself.
Yeah,
but
he dropped sticks all the time. He was often out at time. And he was an easy target.
Drummers are easy targets, unfortunately. There's a whole slew of great jokes to be mined about drummers, and they don't like it.
No.
I'm conscious about time, and you're not far from having to go on
I missed
on stage.
Oh yeah.
So I think quickly in terms of the good cause that you support, which you mentioned. Do you want to give a?
Well, have you heard about me in the cause? It's not all true.
Are you sure?
Jim just makes a nice breakfast.
Exactly. He's a great guy, and he's misunderstood.
I'm making no assumptions.
Sorry. Anyway, I beg your pardon. But the Rethink Your Mind and stuff.
Yeah.
So if you want to give a bit to the audience about what that is,
How they can find out more, get involved.
Well, there's a couple of things that they deal with. It's mindfulness on one side, which is taking good care of your mental health and taking time in your day to, check yourself and take 15 seconds here and there just to those sorts of things to look after yourself on a day, like a daily MOT for your well-being.
Which is a good thing. Yeah, most of
It is
us
a good
don't
thing.
really.
We live in a fast world. It's getting faster and faster. We're getting a lot of information all the time that we don't necessarily need. Certainly can't necessarily process all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, on the other side, they do a lot of work with people with very, more serious and recognised mental health disorders. People who are on wards, and they take music round. They take their music round as a form of therapy, in a way to get people who have, in many cases, completely withdrawn from everything, to come back out and find themselves and interact so I've got involved with these guys for about the last 3 or 4 years now in terms of like mentoring them and helping them with their music, their compositions, and playing the odd show and just turning up and giving you whatever muscle I can, which is not much.
That's great, yeah. Because
it's all good,
We've spoken with a fair few people now, and everyone seems to have good causes and charity that they're involved in, and they do seem to be very special to them. It's not like just big lofty ideas. It's like very drilled down as well. And I think that's important.
Well, I think there's a lot of mental illness and mental health issues to do with people in the music industry. I mean, involved.
Yeah.
That sentence didn't make any sense.
I know exactly what you mean.
But it's something that is. There are a lot of creative people can have mental health issues in the middle of their lives, and this industry, the way it can be quite challenging and pick you up and put you down, can leave people feeling a bit bereft and lost sometimes. And so there's it
can be hero to zero instantly.
Yeah. And even the other way around, it's a weird one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's something that's it's in all our lives. It's in all our lives, whether we are aware of it or not, because it's something that a lot of people mask very well. Their eccentricities and their traits can often mask unhappy
It's something that's only really recently started to be talked about in sort of public consciousness, really.
I know, it's seen as being a weakness in a way, rather than just a natural fallibility.
Yeah. So now I think it's a great thing, and again we'll put links in the show notes for
that'd be great. That'd be lovely. I did a show with them a couple of... When did I see you guys?
It would have been 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago,
Linskill Centre. And
what was the date?
20th?
Oh, yeah, so it was just after my birthday, wasn't it? Yeah. So, a few days later I did a gig for them in Dunstable, which is good fun at this theatre, with a huge choir. And the choir was all volunteers of people who've got in touch through their work, and 150 voice choir.
Nice.
It sounded amazing.
I bet it did, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, because the last song I was stood on the stage right in the centre of them, and it was quite overpowering. All the spittle that comes flying against the back of your neck. Wherever it was. They went from, some kind of mesh. Some kind of mesh. Well, Perspex screen. But there was a wonderful harmony bit where it went from left to right and back again across the back of the stage.
Which song was it?
It's called... I can't remember what the song's called. I know the lyrics. We recorded it at Abbey Road, actually. They're so good. They get all this stuff for nothing. They do really well.
Excellent.
But anyway, sorry,
Yeah.
I'm waffling.
No, it's okay.
No, absolutely. Well, conscious that
Conscious
it's
you-
Yes,
on
I've got,
stage
I've
time.
got, and I've got to write my set list. I just remembered.
Ah, right.
man.
Thank you very much
No,
again.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're back from the tavern.
Yes.
Yes. I think I would like to start with pledge music, because that's actually quite relevant at the minute, because obviously Mark's used it, but Shed 7 used it recently as well, and they got top 10 with their recent album, Instant Pleasures, and that's all from pledge music, and I think it's not all from pledge music, obviously they wrote the album.
But crowdfunding is a way that a lot of musicians, bands are going these days. You know, we've spoke to a few people, and there'll be other episodes around getting a record deal and record labels, and you know the pros and cons of that. But it's definitely an option, and it's definitely one that works. So it was good to speak to someone who's recently used it and I think was reasonably successful with.
Yeah, and I think the main thing that Mark probably enjoys about it is he gets quite a lot of artistic, like it's his own art. He's got everything's his say, and the wider part of it, as in getting musicians in to play bass or play drums or whatever, knowing that they'll get paid or get paid better because they've got more cash or what have you, is good as well, because obviously you don't want. Obviously you can use favours here and there, but that's only going to last for a certain amount of time.
Well, that's it. If you do one album, and you know if you've surrounded yourself with a number of people that are a drummer or whatever the other instrument might be that you need to help you produce your songs, then you're right. The first time, yeah, of course I'll help you, not a problem. Yeah, when do you want us? The second time, oh yeah, well, maybe I can. You know, it isn't going to last very long. And I think the point he made, which was very good, is that even if it's a good friend or someone that you really know and trust, if there's some form of like payment because it's whether it's through crowdfunding or whatever, then you tend to do the research or the homework. Or I think Mo even said it himself. He was like, yeah, if I'm doing a favour for someone, I'll just rock up and say, what's the crack? what am I doing?
He did say that,
I can totally imagine that being the thing. Even if you like the person and you're going to do a good job or whatever, it brings an element of professionalism around it. If, you know, I'm paying you a fair wage or fair amount of money for whatever the thing is that you're doing, I totally get that. And that. So whether it's the creative control or whether it's bringing that level of professionalism to the thing that you're doing.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's also quite an interesting way of doing it, because people pledge a certain amount of money and you get something back. So you can pledge quite a low amount and get the goodwill back. You could pledge a bit more and get the CD. You could pledge a bit more and get this, that, and the other. I think that's quite an interesting way to like make it a bit more.
There's different tiers to entry, isn't there? Like if someone just want to give you £1 or $1 or whatever it might be, that's maybe all they know. There'll be lots of music fans out there who are sort of, right, well, I might have a small amount to give. I could give one artist £10, or I could give 10 artists £1. If you don't have that low level, put £1 and you'll get a badge or whatever the small thing might be, then you could lose a lot of people.
Yeah, and like you think, £1, but if 1,000 people give £1, that's going to pay for a lot of the studio time, if not all of it, depending on who you use, for the sake of a few badges, maybe. I don't know. So, but like I think he mentioned about the go to people's houses and doing shows, and he also mentioned about quiz nights, which didn't work as well. But I know like a bit of research into that would definitely help, especially a band. Like, if it's different from Mark, maybe because he's got an established artist, he's got a fan base.
There's a bit about knowing your fans as well, isn't it? So before you go and put on a load of quiz nights, then ask people.
Is that something you want? Yeah,
get a bit of feedback from your fan base, interact with them. Because again, if they don't want badges, don't create a load of badges. If no one's going to pledge a £1 or whatever for whatever bit of merchandise, then then don't bother. If you go to gigs, in your gigs, if certain bits of merchandise fly off the shelves and other bits you're left with loads of it, then you
Tea towels.
Tea towels. Yeah, that did make us laugh. He's non-absorbent tea towels.
He's not afraid to tell you though.
No, he was upfront about the lack of quality to the tea towels he was flogging.
But to back to the point though, I think if you're in a band and you're doing pretty well, and you want to take that next step, because you don't really just get together, have one practice, get 5 songs, well, let's record it. You have to work your way up to that and feel your way out and get a bit of a fan base. And it could be simply on putting on gigs for the people who pledged, have it and making it an event out of it. It could be something as simple of basically putting them in the show note and in the
record sleeve.
In the record sleeve, and they go, I'm in the record sleeve for that, and that.
Yeah, which works great if you've got a fan base who want the physical product. Mm-hmm. Pretty useless if it's just a download. Course, yeah. But yeah, it's a fair point.
There's probably a lot of ways you can recognise the money, time, effort people have put in to produce your art. And eventually then becomes their art a little bit as well.
Yeah.
It's like a community thing.
You touched a bit on how you come to what's your target that you want to raise. And I thought it was a good point that he said in terms of working backwards and just figuring out all the things.
Here comes the business part.
Well,
it's worth thinking about.
Yeah, but it is. I mean, you look at any sorts of projects, more often than not, things go over budget rather than under budget. And that's because people don't consider all the different things that you need to do. Like, for example, if people are going to receive some badges or an actual physical CD, then if you haven't factored in the postage to get it out to them, then little things...
Their £10 donation becomes £2.
Yeah, it all adds up. So I think doing a fairly reasonable amount of research into all the things, so whether it's it's not just the recording time of the album. It's right, if you're going to get physical copies, then what does that look like? Printing, the cutting of it. Are you going to be able to design the stuff yourself, or is that something you're going to have to go to graphic designers and get? It's quite vast, the various things that you'll need to factor into a whole release.
Yeah, totally, and we'll cover that in another episode about making your own, having your own label. But Mark made a good point, that a key point you could say, that if you have got a bit extra money in the kitty, that can go to the musicians. That's helped you out. If you're in a band, you might not have to do that because you are the musicians. But then you've got, as you say, a graphic designer maybe who might be a mate.
But if you're a solo artist, and you might want some drums to your music, and you are not a drummer, and you can't play the drums, then
your drummer mate might do the first one, as you say, as goodwill. Give him £50 for do the second one just to go and play drums for a day. That's all right.
But even then, it builds up a bit of credibility about the whole project, I think. And I think you'd get the feeling of it being a bit more real if you were sorting things out. And I think if back to the point, if it was your mates, I think there's a bit more of a right, we're here to do something.
It's not just a lark around on the drums or I'm the bassist for today, but I'm giving you £50 or more. It might be more or less.
Well, it depends how many songs you do know, how long they need to be.
True. And if you are a band and you get that, let's say you go try and raise £500 and you raise £700, that £200 your petrol kitty to go and play gigs for people who have contributed, or that's led to a gig in London and you're from the northeast or Manchester or whatever. There's no harm in having a bit of extra money in the kitty. No. It just doesn't mean you have to go and drink it.
Definitely.
If you want to do that, that's a celebration. You could put a party on for your mates and say, we went over budget, we went under budget by £200. He has £200 behind the bar just to say thanks. It's one way of doing it.
But I think the whole point that when he touched on house concerts and playing those, and that was one of the biggest earners that he had, and particularly off the episode that we've done with Joy, it's far more of a thing than now.
Yeah,
I realised,
and I think that'll lend it to Mark loads.
Oh, definitely. He loves interacting with
he's very good at it as well,
and he is good at it. So
he did mention in the interview about the ego stopping him from doing it to start with, which I totally understand because.
What you were saying, I'm Mark from the Bluetones.
Yeah.
Why am I going to go to your house? I'm bigger than that sort of thing. But then when he actually thought about it, well, no. But why the hell wouldn't I?
Yeah, and it's a captive audience of even it's 50 people.
And he said he enjoyed them. That's
it's a reason
what do you do this for in the first place?
Yeah, so
enjoy it. So no, I'm big on this house concert thing. I can totally see why that's a big thing.
Maybe we should do some kind of Mark Morris house concert for our podcast.
We definitely need to do some kind of.
He's not aware of this yet, so if he's listening to this going,
neither are our other halves, and the lack of space that we have to do such a thing.
Just be your house.
I see what. Oh, we're going to go to Mark Morris's house.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah.
He'd probably be up for it.
Yeah, possibly. He's a very nice chap.
Yeah. So, what? I mean, we touched a bit there on his repartee.
Yes, that's a nice segue.
It was a lovely segue, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So it was quite comforting to me as the sort of front man to hear from Mark saying it took him years to get good at it, and he was in exactly the same position where he'd be like, go and say something random to the bass player, have a drink of water, anything whilst the bloody guitarist's tuning up and
yeah, that's just true. Yeah,
and it does take, you got to build up a fair bit of confidence to then be like, well, actually, well, for a lot of personalities, and we spoke to Mark Duffett about a lot of things and sort of the fandom and being a star and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
To some people that'll come naturally, but to others it's, and certainly to me, I was one of the people in the camp of, what am I going to say? Why would anyone have any interest in anything that I've got to say? I'll just wait for Ben to finish tuning his guitar.
Yeah.
And that was that. So it was quite good to see that he'd been through it. But I would encourage anyone who is, and it doesn't have to be the front man, anyone in the band, to do some interaction with the audience.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that I failed at. And
I wouldn't say failed at that's a bit harsh. I was surprised when Mark said that, 'cause maybe
it looks now like it just comes naturally to him, and that's him.
Yeah. When you're touring with the Bluetones, it's probably different. You can have a quick chat, and it's bang into a louder song, and it kind of takes up the noise. Whereas in his acoustics, more intimate, and there's more chance of chat.
There is definitely that, because I think certainly in the smaller venues that we saw him at, someone from the audience can almost speak to the person on the stage.
He did, and give him shots.
Yeah, and they'll hear everything, and therefore you'll interact. And so in some ways it helps, that sort of communication. Whereas if you're in a bigger venue on a stage, someone could be yelling something and you'd be like, what? Well, I have no idea, and it doesn't really work, so then it's almost a one-way. Well, it's not a conversation, then it's just whoever's on the stage,
whoever's loudest,
saying whatever they're saying, and hoping people are enjoying whatever they've got to say, as opposed to the smaller venues where you can have back and forth conversation.
And that was, I think that really, and the gig was so much Blythe, and I bet this happens everywhere he goes, but because of that interaction, it was well, I wouldn't say it was like a stand-up comedy, but it kind of was, because he's very funny, and he had that chat with them, and they were making comments, and he was making jokes about it, about yes, you can have a photograph with this, but it's £1 extra.
That I like that as well. He's so almost got not some stock bits of things in his back pocket that he'll say, but in some ways he'll have, right, that worked last time, I'll try it again. If it does, great, and I'll build on it. If it doesn't, I'll just bin that off, and I'll try something else. So he's almost got a view in his mind of some things that he will go with. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But he's not sort of going in cold with absolutely nothing. He's got something in his back pocket to use.
I think that is a key thing.
Key thing?
Oh dear!
Wow, we've not had key thing yet.
No, that was.
We need a tally chart of all the key things or the keys that you do.
Yeah, well, no, we shouldn't.
You might not.
But I think that's important to have a stockpile, just in case you get caught off guard a bit and someone says something and you think, yes, I can use that £1 for an autograph thing, even though he's not going to charge it.
Yeah, and if it's the same stuff every time, then people who've seen you before would get a bit tired of it. So it's getting that balance right. But yeah, I think there's definitely something in that. And as awkward as it can be to some people, I would definitely encourage people to try that out.
Yeah. And if nothing else, it puts you out of your comfort zone.
Oh, that's how you improve.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you had done this to me, if I had a microphone in front of us, which was quite rare, like it would have put me out of my comfort zone. That would have been good. I think it would have made a bit of a more interaction. I think it can't be a bad thing. If it doesn't work, just go back to playing the songs. Yeah. Why not? That's
all you were doing to start with. So
yeah.
You've tried something. It works. It works. Great. If it doesn't. Move on.
Definitely. So James, what were the 3 key points in this interview? No, but I think it's useful. There was 3 bits I really enjoyed. That would be useful if I was starting out again.
Just look, if key points makes you happy,
I'm gonna
then just go with it. Whatever works for you.
We had a bit of feedback from one of our friends. Hey, he said, "Get a thesaurus." Can I say it? You say it for us.
I'm enjoying you trying to say it.
I can't say it. Anyway,
I'll give it another go.
Get one of those books that give you different words for the same word. So the important parts for me were
right? That's right.
Pledge music, how to use that, and how to get the benefits from it, interacting with your audience, and
you've come to the table with 3 important parts, and you've given me 2.
I know there was a 3rd, but it's slipped my mind.
You've even written them down.
Self-promotion was the other one. Whatever.
I think we should probably swiftly move on to the good cause for the week.
Definitely.
And rethink your mind.
Oh, what a segue that was to rethink my mind after that bit of chat.
Well, I think it's one of the many things you need to rethink.
Yeah.
But
in all seriousness, though.
Well, as we say every week, another great cause.
It was a cause I wasn't aware of until...
when this had a music flavour to it as well, because a lot of the ones haven't, which is absolutely fine. But Mark using his
expertise and
as a musician, to go and help get music into hospitals, and it was an interesting take on how, if you're a musician, there's nothing wrong with supporting any good cause, whatever it would be, but music can be a great way to go about giving back. So that was good and a really interesting one that, like you, I didn't know about. As ever, there will be links in the show notes.
To Twitter handle
rethinkyourmind.co.uk.
Twitter handle @rethinkyourmind, all one word. These charities are really good.
Do you get spaces in Twitter handles?
We get underscores and that.
Right.
All right. But they do a lot of work, and it brings a lot of things about bringing people together. They've got Christmas singles and stuff like that coming out at the minute. So just have a look into it. It's really good, and it's got a lot of support, and I would definitely send anyone in that direction.
Up next week, we're with musician, former label owner, and now music lecturer Pete Dale. Here we talk about the benefits of self-releasing music, the importance of a physical product for song releases, choosing acts which go onto a label, and label identity.
We've reached the end of this week's episode of Anyone Can Play Guitar podcast.
Big thank you for tuning in, and remember to stop by iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts from and subscribe so that you never miss an episode.
While you're there, it would be amazing if you could leave a rating and a review.
All the show notes can be found at www.acpgmusic.com, and if you want to get in touch,
email us your questions, any feedback and any suggestions to info@acpgmusic.com.
That's it for now. Keep supporting upcoming artists,
and we'll catch you next time.